Hi, everybody. Welcome to the We Have Issues podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about, in recent events, what's been going on. We have Trump tweeting out that he is Dr. Jesus or a type of divine one. We have Pete Hegseth that is talking about a Bible verse that he is misquoting from Pulp Fiction. And Pope Leo, who's the current Pope, his back and forth with the administration. And later we'll cover a statement from someone in the ASP. And these are the things that we're going to be covering today so that we can get a better understanding and idea of what's going on. And we have issues. Once again, my name is Carvell.
I'm Chris.
I'm Matt.
This week, the internet was going crazy because of two events. But one event that I'm going to talk about in particular is Trump tweeting himself as a doctor, a divine one. Some people think and view this that he was comparing himself to Jesus or being Jesus. And a lot of people who was a Christian thought this was very blasphemous, thought the audacity, an individual like this, doesn't matter if he was president, doesn't matter if he was some type of official, but the audacity to put yourself in a position to say that, hey, I am the same as the divine creator, it rubbed people the wrong way. So now people are trying to understand not only what is going on, why is he doing this, why is he insulting us, but when does it stop? I don't know. When you guys saw this, Chris, Matt, what was your opinion when you first saw this?
Not shocked. Not shocked. I mean, he's trying to build himself his temple in the White House. He's selling Trump-branded Bibles where his name is larger than the font of the Bible on it, because we know what's important to him. I won't be shocked if next week he tweets, I am who am as his next Truth Social message. It's particularly ridiculous because you have lots of people in this country who claim to have the moral authority and the moral teaching to be able to dictate how other people live their lives, but they'll still vote for Trump. They'll still vote for people who Trump supports, even though he's obviously blaspheming, even though he's trying to gaslight you, and they'll just accept it because why? They get lower taxes. Is that worth threatening your soul over? And the quality of people, like he claims to have put these religious people into his administration, and then you have people who don't even bother to read the Bible, who don't even bother to double check, right? Like, I've heard Bible verses before that, I'm like, oh, I like this. Well, let me look up where it's at. We just did that today, where we were, talking about bless those who bless Israel.
It's funny too, Chris, that you mentioned it just like that. There was a reporter that came to Trump, and this was, a few years ago. I forgot exactly when, but they asked Trump, what's your favorite Bible verse? And he's like, I love the whole thing. The whole thing is great. But he couldn't name one Bible verse that he liked. Like, okay, I get it. Like, if your default, anybody's default, what is it? John 3:16. For God so loved the world, he gave his only forgotten son. That's all you have to say. Like, that could just be the default. If you say that, like, okay, this guy knows the Bible. Even, I think atheists are able to recite that, at least that verse, right? Or you could just memorize the shortest verse, Jesus wept. But we have someone who is fighting for Christians. At least that's how a lot of his followers think. That's what a lot of his followers think, that he's fighting for Christians, but he's not. He's not fighting for what Jesus stood for, what Jesus wanted. And that's one of the issues that I have right now with, how all these things go. I'm not upset at Trump anymore because there is at a time that you realize somebody's nature and how the nature of that person is not going to change. I'm just more upset at the people that give him power while understanding his nature. And that's what is more disheartening to me. I mean, you have a guy that is, who's making fun of people that die, and stuff, and saying, oh, so and so is probably in hell. I mean, who says that, right? And he's over here making these photos that it's gonna stir up and make people upset. I wasn't upset at the photo, actually, but I understand why other people were. I just understand Trump's nature so much that
you weren't upset. That Trump was.
I wasn't upset at it. No, I wasn't upset. I wasn't upset at it for two reasons, right? Yeah. The first reason is because when you have a group of friends and you have your boys or whatever and stuff, people do stuff like that, and and you understand that, okay, he's just having fun, but maybe that fun kind of pushes a line towards me. He might not do it to me, but it pushes the line. But I understand that, like, he's just making a joke out of it, right?
It's not like this was a scene from Dogma.
Right. Well, I wasn't upset at all of it, but the main reason why I wasn't upset is because this was expected from him. I didn't expect anything better. Looking at his tweets for the last, he's been in leadership for 5 years, 6 years. Looking at all of that, looking at his tweets the last year and some, looking at all of his posts, and it's just like, this is what is expected. Like, if he didn't send this and he changed, I would be surprised. I'd be like, what's going on with Trump? Did somebody actually
should we accept that?
Mentor him?
Should we accept it because it's in his character? Shouldn't
I have never accepted who he was. That's why I mentioned earlier, I am more upset at the people that give him power than I am at him, because this is his nature, right? Like, I can't get upset at a rattlesnake for having poison in his mouth and trying to lunge at me and bite me. I can't get so upset at that, but what I can get upset at is if, a trainer or somebody who controls this animal puts people in danger and puts it, because it's like, you're giving this rattlesnake or whatever animal you want to see, like a dog. I hate to criminalize pit bulls, but like a pit bull, and stuff. And we blame the owner. We blame the people that are giving this dog the power, and that's where I have the issue now, because I understand the nature of this guy. The nature of this guy, he does not have good intentions for you. His good intentions are only for money and the people that say, yes, dear leader.
So what you're saying is you're upset with the Republicans who voted him into office.
Mostly MAGA Republicans, but yes, Republicans. But I think what I saw is that Republicans lost their party. And they lost it to this MAGA whatever. And it was like, if you didn't bow down, if you didn't kiss the pinky ring, you were outcast. And there were a lot of people who spoke out against MAGA. And there was a lot of people who spoke out against MAGA, but they still kissed the pinky ring. The Republican Party, they lost their party right now. I don't know if they'll ever get it back.
Did they, though? I mean, in my state of Kentucky, there are 3 Republicans running for McConnell's empty Senate seat, and they are all begging for Trump's endorsement.
That's what I mean.
That's the Republican Party now. That is the party.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. It's like how the Democrats lost their party to this woke agenda. Some of the woke agenda, I don't think it's bad, but some of it, like dudes walking into locker room,
but it doesn't telling
us, convince us we have to be okay with that.
For these people, they are it doesn't matter because they lost the party to the woke. Democrats are still voting the woke people. The Republicans lost party to Trump. They're still voting for Trump.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying when I say they lost their party. I'm saying that they lost their identity. They lost their soul. They lost what it meant.
They seemed more than happy to sell their soul.
Exactly. So then when you look at the Republican Party, and I think the Republican Party is more dangerous actually right now in how they're operating.
We'll see after the midterms.
Yeah, but that's the thing about it. And so I'm saying that they lost their soul. It's ridiculous. The Trump administration is going back and forth with Pope Leo. I've never seen a president go back and forth with the Pope. I'm not Catholic. I don't look at the Pope as somebody that is extremely inspirational, but I know his role in society and how Catholics view him too as well. How is it that the Pope has to talk about your mouth and how you should act as an individual? This is something you should already know. You have somebody. Why is it that you have your minister is being investigated for sexual activity with a minor or something like that? I don't know. But these are the people that Trump have in his corner. You can tell that they don't have the best intentions. And the American people, are suffering because of that. And, the soul and the spirit of the American people, it's kind of like becoming like me, where it's like, well, this is just another Tuesday, I expect this from Trump. I can't get outraged anymore, right? And that's where the hope of the American people is us getting outraged when people are not acting the way they should be, when people are acting in such a way that it destroys our moral character.
I'm over the whole circus. I left the Republican Party in 2016 because I saw Trump coming in and I saw how they treated him in the debates and the primaries. And I was irritated because I saw Trump as being the outsider, having a little bit different perspective. And I just saw the Republican Party rally against him, even though it was clear that the majority of the people wanted him as president. And so I wrote the Republican Party off. I switched over to independent. And you know how the story goes. I ended up, bouncing to the Green Party, and now I'm ASP. I found my home here in the American Solidarity Party. But I voted for Trump in 2020, and I voted for him in 2020, it was kind of came down to choice. I would have gladly voted for Gabbard. I've been open that I was actually wanting to go for Yang, but we had Sleepy Joe and Trump was the choices. And I saw the changes, the economic changes. I saw how much better it got for me being a blue collar worker and everybody around me in 2016 with Trump. So I voted for him in 20. Our choice that was foisted upon us in 24 was Kamala. So, of course, I had to vote for Trump again. If it came up to vote for Trump a fourth time, I wouldn't. I'm absolutely done with the Republican Party. This is silliness. People need relief right now. Cost of living has skyrocketed. And I know if you look at the numbers, there's been, they tout, well, eggs have come down and gas has fluctuated one way or the other. But this kind of harkens back to when Biden was like, well, look, I saved you 15 cents on hot dogs for Memorial Day. Who gives a shit, man?
I don't care that I pay $1 less for eggs when I'm paying $500 more to rent an apartment.
Precisely, Chris. And that's what I'm saying is if you're going to tout all these big accomplishments, people need to see tangible results in their paycheck. And I know people are saying, oh, I got a good bit back on my taxes. I didn't. I paid in. So, working class, again, it's the upper class, the investor class that are seeing these benefits. So I don't really care. So I'm by no means qualified. That's why I always joke. I'm Protestant because I really need the grace. And I'm not qualified to get up here and say who is a Christian, who's not a Christian, or even to call into question their sins, because God knows.
Trump, though, it might be the exception on that.
Maybe. Well, so how I kind of look at it like this, like with the doctor photo, when he got up there and he said, oh, well, I'm supposed to be a doctor. What I think happened is one of his advisors said, sir, it was a doctored photo. And we know this because there was an original. And
oh my God, is this one of those Trump has dementia moments?
It could be. It could be that Trump wasn't paying attention. Who knows? But I think somehow it got scrambled in his brain because the original is different from the one that Trump posted.
Do you think Trump selected that photo, or do you think like someone on Trump's team posted this photo?
I think
because he posts on his own truth.
Well, he
social,
owned
right?
up to it, didn't he?
Well, he said two different stories. So he said at first somebody posted it and he approved it, and then he said that he posted it. Who knows? I think it's a combination. If you look at Trump's truths, which unfortunately I do, and we just got back on Truth Social, so go add the Y podcast. If you look at it, you can kind of tell. It's almost like an aide sometimes posts, sometimes it's Trump. Probably when he gets busy, he has somebody else post for him. But either way, I think that's kind of what happened. Is he got up there, got his lingo confused, and he said, he meant that it's a doctored photo.
I don't know. That seems I mean, it's plausible, but that seems kind of a cope. I think that he's like, oh, it's a sick man, so I'll just lie and say I was a doctor. I think that's far more likely than him, this like out of the way, like a doctored photo. He got confused because he didn't post it. I think that's absolving Trump of a lot of guilt that he does not need absolved of.
No, that does not absolve him of anything, because even if the case should have been like I posted from our Facebook, there's only one right response to this. Look, I'm sorry. It was in poor taste. I apologize to those who offended. We'll do better. We're going to pull it down. That's all that had to be said.
That would imply that Trump could admit he was wrong in something.
Exactly. And I
don't think I've ever heard him apologize.
No. He's always right. He's always perfect.
No,
he is the most intelligent, the most moral, the best human being on earth, almost like he's Jesus Christ himself.
It's an attribute that he has not acquired with his time in office. And then you look at Hegseth, like, I'm sure that he knew a vague outline of that verse and said, this fits well. He Googled it or something, and that result got kicked out to him. He's like, oh yeah, that sounds good. There's a reason I use Google and I'll look up Bible verses, but then I go to the physical Bible to confirm. And I don't think he did that. And we've done that. As a kid, there was two that used to circulate. There was better that your seed fall into the belly of a whore than on the ground, not in the Bible. Used to hear that one all the time. Chris, you said earlier, the money is the root of all evil. That's a misquote of a Bible verse. It's not the love of money, or it's the love of money, not money itself.
God helps those who help themselves.
That's another one. Woe be it under like doctors, lawyers, and something else. So anyways, we've had these verses float around. So that's what I think. But it just keeps happening, this revolving door of people making bad decisions. And you really do have to question, what is the authenticity of the Christianity? You have the whole Turning Point USA debacle with Erica Kirk getting up there and Shabbat Shaloming all over the place. You got Hegseth, quoting Pulp Fiction. You got Trump doing these things. You really have to question. My advice to Trump, if he is sincere and he wants to handle himself as a Christian, maybe he's just not there. Maybe he's a believer, but he's very infant and he's not up to the standards of everybody else, present company included here. My advice would be, these people, Paula White, that crazy bitch, kick those people out of your circle, Trump, at the very least, as far as your spiritual advisement goes, if not completely out of their posts completely. You need to go find you this old rundown 10-member old school church and go to the pastor and be like, will you preach to me a private sermon on what it means to be a Christian? And get back to your roots and recover from that point. That's what you need to do. I'm talking like the church where every song the praise team does, the drum beat goes, boop, bop, boop, bop, boop, bop, boop, bop. Or better yet, the church that still thinks the drums are the devil and don't have them in there. That would be a good church. But anyways, seriously, I mean, Trump needs to get back to basics, get alone with the Bible, not anybody advising you. You've got bad advisement, my dude. Get back to the basics of it, figure out what you're about, how you see this, and that's how you need to recover from this, because the way we're going, they're going to lose the Christian base. My God, you know how bad you've messed up? You got Muslims that are coming to our defense.
What I'm worried about is not that the religious people are going to leave the Republicans. What I'm worried about is that the Republicans are going to leave religion to worship their new religion of Trump. That's what I'm worried about. And that's where I see things going more and more. These photo ops where everyone is just surrounding Trump like he is a divine figure. That Paula White, who's saying that Trump is anointed by God, that God saved his life to do his will, as if Trump is Christ, the second coming. That is what worries me, is that there's going to be groups that start conflating Christianity with Trumpism, and that's going to lead more people away from the faith than anything else.
These people are brown nosers, Chris, and everybody knows the best way to get in good with Trump is through his ego, and that's what's going on. And
well, but these people are influencing the people who have no connection to Trump.
Yes,
you have one of those 10-member churches down in middle of Tennessee who probably has a picture of Trump right next to the picture of Jesus.
Let me push back a little bit on the MAGA thing. So how and there probably are diehard Trump supporters within the MAGA movement. I've seen them, from my experience with them, the MAGA movement is a movement, and it just so happens to be at the time the leader of it is Trump, rather than this being Trump's movement and MAGA's been roped into it. I think MAGA's more likely to part ways with him over all these things like Israel, the war in Iran, wars everywhere that he's trying to stir up. I think MAGA's more apt to leave. You're seeing big MAGA influencers who have made a break from Trump. What I think is happening is the Republican Party has kind of like overcorrected, and they're like, oh, this is what everybody wants to hear now. They're a little bit late to the ball game. Like in 2016, even in 2020, they weren't really on to the bandwagon. And I think now in true boomer fashion, they don't understand the economics of the situation. And I think the actual who used to be the more moderate, conservative Republicans, I think they have latched on to the brand now as MAGA is jumping off a ship, which is actually scarier, because there's a larger number of those people. So that's what I think's happened.
I don't know if you're familiar with 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. And I often think about this because in the Bible, it talks about the man of lawlessness, right? And how the man of lawlessness is going to bring us to our own destruction. And in this, he talks about God gave this man, or allowed this man to have power, not because he wanted to see the world get destroyed or anything like that, but because that's what the people were begging for, and that's what the people wanted. And it wasn't that it was actually, hey, I'm going to give you this guy to change the world, but it was more so, I'm going to give you this guy because he's so much like you, and I'm going to give you guys into your own sin and destruction. And so when you mention that MAGA could live without Trump because it's more of an ideology, more of a way, a thought, a path. I think that aligns pretty well with the Bible. It's just that, like, it's not so much the individual as much as the people that are giving power to this individual.
I can get behind Trump being delivered to us by God as a punishment for our sins, but I could too, So our party, which is the American Solidarity Party, for those who are new to our podcast, we had made a statement about the blasphemy of this current administration. And, our party's position is that we are very offended from what has been going on for, a couple weeks' time. And we've made a statement in regards to how we felt about this. And this is something that, we addressed, and it should be addressed. For me, I don't disagree. Right? Let's obviously, from everything I've said today, I don't disagree with the statement. But to me, it's more of is this sort of the kind of statement that needs to be made as an official party statement? I don't think there's any clarification needed. I guess it just puts us more against Trumpism in the United States. First off, I am fine with the statement being said as it is. I know Jack, and I kind of know that there exists this mentality in the party where we really believe that sacred things should remain sacred. And the way that the American Solidarity Party interprets separation of church and state is that the state should never interfere with the church. And Trump making posts like this feels a little bit like the state interfering with the beliefs of a church, even if it's done as casually as it is. That is not the way that the government should be acting. The fact that Trump didn't admit, I made a mistake, I made a joke in poor taste.
Right.
You know, I mean, that just gives more credence to the fact that Jack made this statement and the party has an official statement on this. I know the audience for this. I know who that statement was drafted for. I know that there are groups of religiously minded people who are kind of on the fence about whether they want to remain Republican or not. And this statement is kind of a tipping point for them that, hey, there are places where your beliefs are respected, where your opinion does matter, and we can work together to get this element out of power so that the government stops offending the church. You know, I get that that's the audience for it. If I was chair, I probably would not think to give enough attention to this to give it a platform that a statement would require. But again, I'm not against the statement at all.
That's kind of how I feel about it, Chris. So I trust Jack. Jack is in the position as chair for a reason, and until Jack just does something that I absolutely find wrong and disagree with, I'm going to appeal to his judgment. I mean, he's our representative for a reason. It's a good statement. Would I have done it that way? No, I probably would have appealed on a larger audience. But again, I'm not Catholic. I'm not Catholic centric, so I understand that being kind of the key point. But I would have made it a more generalized statement over just the disregard or really the animosity towards Christian values that seems like the administration as a whole has been going through. But some of the criticisms of the statement are what I want to call attention to, because one of the things that I have seen in comment sections a lot is that the Pope should not be weighing in on matters of government.
He's the head of a foreign government.
Well, it's not only that. So not only that completely aside, we've used this talking point in the ASP, the Republicans, the pro-life party at large has used this talking point. Dwayne made this point when we interviewed him. You don't separate your moral groundwork from how you govern. And so to come in and say the Pope has no authority to weigh in on all these world events and how they're being handled throughout, that completely undermines the very argument that we have made for us to be able to use Christian values to rule with. So that's a terrible way to approach this. You can disagree with the Pope. You can think he makes bad decisions. I think this. A lot of people in my circle think this. But at the end of the day, he has every right to comment on this. That's what he's there for.
I think personally, what I've seen the Pope do or say, all he's doing that I've seen is talking about characters, right? I haven't seen him criticize Trump about political moves that has, like, for an example, the big beautiful bill. I haven't heard him criticize that. He might be for or against, but I've heard him say things along the line that, hey, we got to focus on the poor. We got to focus on loving Trump. You should really watch your mouth and how you talk to people. But as far as laws that are being implemented, I haven't seen him talk directly about his criticism, other than him kind of mentioning something about Iran. But I don't think he was really criticizing the laws in particular, but he was more so criticizing us not showing love or compassion. But in regards to the statement that Jack made, I actually like it, and I like it a lot. And there's a few reasons why I like it. The first reason is that this is speaking to a particular crowd. We don't need, like, when we talk about generalization, that is important. It really is important. But in this stance, we're looking for our particular type of people. And when we're saying we're looking for a particular type of people, we're looking for people of good moral understanding and that knows of good moral understanding. Chris, you know that everything that Trump has been doing wrong. Is a lot of stuff that Trump has been doing wrong. Matt, you know the exact same thing. I know it too. So he's pointing to the people that are similar to us. The second thing is people, like all of us, we have memory like goldfish. We forget everything that's going to happen, the year after or whatever. We forget everything that happened this year, a year in the future. So this particular statement, no one's going to be talking about it 6 months later. So it will have done its job by outlining an incident and giving other people who feel the same an opportunity to understand that, hey, you're not the only one who feel this way. And I don't have an issue with this at all. I think his wording was direct. It was understandable. We saw exactly where he stood. I like that.
It was a good statement, and like you're saying, Chris, I hesitate to use the word. It was engineered and packaged because I do think that Jack probably restrained himself in this statement very much so. I know he feels very strongly about this, but it was tweaked to a certain audience, like you said, Chris, but nevertheless, still a great statement. Not how I would have approached it, but I'm not in that position, so it doesn't really matter.
I will say to, those that think that it might have been too specific or not strong enough. I mean, no statement's ever going to be perfect. And ultimately, the statement is of the chair because the chair was elected to represent the party, much like the president is elected to represent his party. And for good or ill, that's what it is. And that's the majority position of the party at this current moment.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of statement that's being made. So even if you don't agree with it 100%, even if you don't agree with it at all, it doesn't say anything that is not part of the values of the American Solidarity Party. And it is a very strong and popular opinion within the party. You do not have to agree with the party 100% of the time, all the time. You just need to agree enough that this is the direction we're going, and I'm okay with that. And that's my view on the whole statement.
Thank you guys for tuning into the We Have Issues podcast. Thank you for listening and sharing your opinion. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have an opinion on this piece, please leave a comment. Let us know. Let us know how you feel. And don't forget to subscribe. Once again, my name is Carvell.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
Thank you.